for us, what we want to do is become like the VaynerMedia, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's company of podcasting. So VaynerMedia and Gary V, he creates so much content for everyone. Like the 14-year-old girl on like TikTok, he's creating content for them, helping them create like viral TikTok posts. But he works with enterprise clients. He works with Salesforce, Google, Amazon, all the big dogs. That's his goal, and it's taken him like 20 fucking years to get to that point. And that's one of our goals for Voix, is that how do we crack the enterprise market? How do we get to large scale so people think that I'm serious, people that take the company serious, people take the team seriously, so we're moving continuously at that goal, right? So for us, money is a byproduct of execution. So for us, what the whole area is focus on excellence, be rootless, and be remarkable. The three core components of our company are rootless, remarkable, and excellence. So some of my early clients were people that were from my podcast, and I never pitched to them. I would never pitch like to someone on my podcast. I'd fucking hate to do that. And they would reach back out and say, hey, I had a great experience on your podcast. It looks fantastic. Can you do it for us? So I was building this brand, and I was able to monetize the brand, and the brand sits on top of like who I am. So it was like, this dude is just recording these podcasts. He applies a level of professionalism, and then it grows as a result. And that's what the brand became, right? Was this like ultra high quality, high level of excellence, going all in on something. So people felt that they could trust me to do the same for them. All right, people, what's up, everyone? We're back with another Q&A session this week. This is a little bit different than usual. We're in the studio, number one. It's the first change. The second change is I have Elise here with me today. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm just...
So, yeah, basically, Elise is going to be here. Elise is obviously my partner. She does a lot of the work that people don't see. So today we're going to get into a Q&A session. It's going to be very chill and relaxed, and that's why I want to bring Elise right here, because we're going to do something different, a bit more creative. That's the whole idea, right? And we're going to go through all the questions that are being asked, and a lot has happened in the last 2 months. Business, lifestyle, perspective, training, everything has been a lot of modalities changed. So I want to bring Elise in as well on this. She's the Leila Hormozi that acts behind the scene. You don't even know who Leila Hormozi is.
No idea.
Nah, it doesn't matter. No, not at all. So you want to get going with some questions, and
Perfect.
We'll get into some of the details.
Okay, so these are some of the questions from the Q&A. Should I just read them out?
Yeah.
Okay, did you have any wake-up moment in life?
Heavy question to start with. So for me, there's a couple of intersection points. So obviously, if people have been listening to some earlier episodes, when I was young, I had like a really bad injury. So I've always wanted to play like sport at a high level. I wasn't necessarily even good at sport, but I wanted to play sport at a high level. So I wanted to be a sprinter initially, and then I wanted to be a rugby player, which quite a lot of people want to do, right? But at 17, 18, I tore my cruciate and I dislocated my kneecap, which meant I could pretty much never do impact sport again. Now, I did get back to playing sport, but what that really taught me was the fact that even though if I put everything into something, I can end up with nothing. So I put everything into sport from the ages of like 12 all the way up to like 17, blew my knee out, and I had to go from ground zero again. And that's when I got really into education, got really into studying and learning. I pretty much turned into like a nocturnal fucking owl at that stage. And all I was doing was studying, learning, and working towards college at the time, which was like a pretty good goal, right? So it's better to have a goal versus any goal. So that was a big moment for me that really like turned, I guess, the needle in my head. And what that showed me was, one, you can't rely on other people. 2, you need to actually take control and autonomy. And 3, you can actually achieve anything you want if you work towards it. So I was young, dumb, really stupid, and I was able to work on my education. I didn't even do well on my Leaving Cert, guys. I did 485 points out of 625, which is pretty average. And then I got into university, and that built the foundations. So that came from, coming back from rehab with my knee. I did a lot of exercise for that. That's when I got really into bodybuilding and built up those different modalities, I would call them that way. And I was able to transfer that principle into everything that I've done. So since those early days, when I went from nothing into sport, into education, into career, into I guess bodybuilding to some degree, and then bodybuilding then into where we are now, has been huge. That was the first moment, I think, which had a big impact. The second moment was, of course, the last couple of years I've been transitioning out of my 9 to 5. I wouldn't necessarily call it 9 to 5 because 9 to 5 just means you work in like some shit job. I was working in like a high paying tech job, And for me, I was kind of sold the lie, or I bought the lie of this can make you wealthy, this can make you rich, this can give you what you want. And I went down that aspect. I was 25, 26, making 100K a year, but I really was not happy with it, right? And that was the biggest thing for me, was that I was following someone else's dream. I was climbing someone else's mountain, and I got to the top of the mountain, and then I realized I was like, fuck, this is the wrong mountain. So you had to come back off the mountain and go back up your mountain. And that's one of the elements of when I had that kind of unplugging from society, as I like to call it, which I obviously got from Richard Cooper, which is like the different events in your life that make you want to unplug from the world's uncomfortable truths. And that was one of them, was that I was living someone else's dream. That's when I started coming back off the mountain, started building my own thing, and I'm nowhere near yet there, but at least I'm working towards a goal that I want to work towards, working towards someone else's goal. I'm working towards my ambitions versus building someone else's dream. So I'm effectively building my own dreams versus building someone else's dream. And I feel that as a man, everybody's going to get to these realizations at some point or another, but you're hoping that these are going to happen to you sooner rather than later. And because of my podcast, because of who I interview, and because of the caliber of people that I get to meet on a regular basis, this was instilled in me really young and really early on. And I've been able to learn through these different factors, I guess, which most people might not even realize. And they're 40 and they're depressed and they have a mortgage, they have kids, they have all the stuff that they don't want, and they
then
effectively,
it feels too late.
Yeah, and they've bought the lie, right? So if it's too late, and you've probably seen that too with many people.
Yeah, of course. You're living somebody else's truth.
But I think you were different because you were always unplugged, as I like to call it, but because your parents were very entrepreneurial and they were very like independent, whereas in like Western world of like UK, Ireland, everybody's so like programmed to just do the same shit as everyone else does.
Yeah, I think I grew up realizing that like there's more options in life, as in my dad had his own business, my brother had his own business. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Cheers. She had no business. She also had a nanny, so she wasn't very good at the stay-at-home mom thing either. But yeah, I think my dad still wanted me to also be very... He had a different idea because he didn't want me to have a 9-to-5, but I still did have that, I don't know what you want to call it, that influence and like that pressure that he wanted me to then start my own business, which is a good thing. And I do have my own business now, but it was a lot of like, oh, you should just follow money. Just follow the money, just do what he's done and just follow in his footsteps, which again wasn't something that I was passionate about or something that I was willing to go about. So, I mean, I did have a different introduction to it, but
what I say on
just follow your own. Like, you can get to that goal where you already have your high-paying job. You're doing what somebody else would say, like, congratulations, job well done. But you're not fulfilled. You're not happy. You can get to that point and realize, fuck, this isn't what I want to be doing.
Jack Hopkins said the other day on like a video, he was saying that, you know, if you follow someone else's dreams, you're going to be in this like neighborhood driving like an average like BMW 3 Series, and everyone's going to be like, well done, you have the house, you have the kids, you have the family, and then deep down you're like, this is not what I wanted. And it's completely different for like a man versus a woman, because like a man is like told to go and do that shit, and they're like,
more of an expectation.
Yeah, there's more of an expectation of you need to be like this. And he was saying like you could be like 45 years old driving around in your like 2007 MC or 3 Series and just be like, is this all that I'm worth? And that was kind of for me was like, you need that limitless thinking and limitless potential, and you're not going to get that just doing something that you were assigned, right? And like there's no fucking guarantees with any of this shit, right? But at least you're moving towards something that has a limitless potential versus I'm just doing this task and I'm just going to get paid and I might get a 3% bump in my salary next year, and that's going to be paid for like stupid shit that I don't even want.
And I'll have to work for it.
And I have to work for it. Exactly. Next question.
This one's kind of deep. Skip for later.
No, it's good.
Okay. How was your childhood?
My childhood was good. I have a very positive parents, I'd say. My mom is super, super supportive. My dad's also super supportive. So I come from like a very ordinary family. I think that has served me incredibly well because my mom was working in a hospital. My dad was working as an exterminator. He was driving, and he's like they both have a huge influence on me. But the biggest thing that they always like brought me to like training practices, to school stuff, to matches at the weekend, and they gave me like a lot of opportunity when they had very little. So it's not like we're like living on the fucking breadline, right? But they were just ordinary people, and they would always devote their time towards me and my older brother, which was like very helpful. And then when I was at the age of like 11 and 12, I thought I was just going to go to like an average high school, and they wanted to put me through like a really good high school, which has which had really good sport, which was rugby, number one, and had good education, even though I didn't even fucking consider the education until I was like 16, 17. But they wanted to put me into those situations, and I didn't even want to do that. That was the thing. I wanted to go to a different school, and they were like, no, you have to go to this school, and they really, really bent over backwards to try get me into those good opportunities.
And your brother went to public school.
Yeah, because he was 6 years older than me, and I think they could see from my brother stuff that I could have, that they could have done for me then as a result, right? And my brother was like high IQ, very smart guy, very like, he was always top of his class and all this kind of stuff. So I guess it was nearly easier for him to do well versus me to do well. So they gave me those scenarios and those positions, which makes me like very grateful for that opportunity. And now as a result, that's one of the reasons why I kind of get my drive from, is just like, okay, they were two ordinary people who worked really hard to give me these opportunities. Now I should be pushing as hard as possible 24/7 every second of the day, because like that's what they did. Imagine. And I feel bad for the people who put their kids through these like good schools, and then the kid just ends up fucking drinking at the weekend, putting shit up their nose all the time, and just in nightclubs all the time. Like that's just like such a bad way to give back to the people who put a lot of stuff in your fate, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, as I get older, I also want to be able to like actually take care of them though, you know? And I want to like be there. And I feel that's very like fucking online business cliche, but it's like actually true, is the fact that like you actually want to set yourself up in such a way that you're able to support people around you, but also support people who were there for you at the very beginning. So you were also like, you know, very close to me in the very, very beginning when I started everything. But of course, the parents like dated back to the very beginning. So that was first, next thing. And also from like a childhood too, I was exposed to a lot of different things, which is like really valuable. So I was running, I was playing like football, I was playing like rugby, soccer, all different stuff, and it gave me different options. And I'm laughing because my parents also put me into fucking music, into guitar.
You didn't? Oh, your guitar lessons.
So they got me into like playing like musical instruments and shit like this, and I just did not catch on to it. So I think it's just like a part of my brain is like I need to have like that competitive side versus like an artistic side. Although I would consider myself quite creative now. But at least to give me that exposure, right? And I've met some people here that actually were teachers, would you believe? That guy Tom was a teacher, and he was saying that a lot of the parents he runs into, they don't even give a shit about their kids. They just put them through these schools, and the parents are out, like they're like drinking at night, and they're like, they just don't care about the kid, and they're on like welfare and all this stuff. And he was saying he saw firsthand from parents and the impact on their kids, and the kids are just running wild. It's not the kid's fault. The parents have no influence.
Yeah, I think you can take so many things from your childhood, though, because if you have really supportive parents, or you admire what your parents do for work, too, even from a career perspective, you can either see, like, oh, shit, I want to go down that path, like, they're happy and they're fulfilled, or you'll say, they are so unfulfilled, I do not want to end up in that same position. Or if they're, like, you don't have the best upbringing, it's like, okay, I know what I don't want, and that's the first thing. You need to know what you don't want to know what you want.
Yeah, but I think as a kid though, you're so easily influenced. So let's say if the parents are not effectively there for you, and my mate Tom was mentioning that a lot of these kids are out in the streets. So they're like 13, 14, they're in like, not like gangs, but they're just like on the street playing football late at night and stuff like this. Then they're around like smoking, drinking, weed, and then like at 13, 14, 15, they're going into like a more like a rebellious stage whereby they get to the stage whereby they're doing like really dangerous shit. Versus, I know and I completely agree, you should look at it and be like, okay, let's move in another direction. But it's...
yeah, you're definitely at a disadvantage, and you're definitely going to be more heavily influenced. But at the same time, like, my father was like homeless.
Yeah.
And he grew up in gangs, drug dealers, like everyone that he grew up with is either dead or in prison. So he decided, fuck that, I don't want that. Yeah. Studied his ass off, got a scholarship so that he could afford university because he had zero money. And then made his own business from there. So I feel like you still have the option. But of course, obviously, it's way harder coming from that and the influences. And if you don't have somebody that you're looking up to, then you're fucked.
100%.
If you don't have a goal that you're working towards.
That's why you just pick anyone in the beginning to work towards. and just have that goal, and then over time, then you'll start adjusting and moving, and that's
Yeah,
it.
and you'll be like, fuck, I don't like that person anymore.
Yeah,
and
exactly. You start moving on to the
move.
next thing. That's really, really, really valuable. You just pick a mentor initially. It doesn't even matter who it is. Just someone who has desirable results, and you move towards. Like the amount of people that I meet that are like use like Ty Lopez as like their example in the beginning, and then after like doing like online marketing for a while, they're like, oh, I'm not interested now. I want to do something else. But they're moving the wheels forward, right? Versus having like no influences, and there's definitely a lack of influences among people at the moment, and among guys that people can mirror and grow up with. Like I grew up looking at like football players, like fucking either like actual football players or rugby players or sports stars. Like it was like Usain Bolt, like Johnny Wilkinson. These are the people that I like like grew up watching, and as a result, I didn't want to be like them, but I guess they were just like guys that went after it and got results, right?
Yeah, you don't have to agree. Even like Andrew Tate,
Yeah.
so many young guys looking up to him. You don't have to agree with everything he fucking says. Pick and choose what you want from your influences.
100%.
Okay, next question. Best tips for someone to start a podcast, also from Ireland.
I would say right now it's so competitive that you need to start with the best foot forward. So the first thing to do is identify all the possible guests that you want. Take a step back. First, you need to understand what the niche is you're going at. So whether it's like online business, you want to niche down into, I don't know, let's say like email copywriting. You're going to have an email copywriting podcast, and that's what you know, that's exactly what it's going to be. From there, we need to create guests that serve that audience. So all the email copywriters that are like fucking class, all copywriters, anyone who's in the writing space, the psychology or writing space, they all speak to that audience. That's the second step. From there, we need to start filling out a calendar. So my calendar is like not always booked, but it's pretty healthy. So you have your pipeline, you have your calendar, and you know that you're going to have X amount of episodes recorded on point. And then we're only looking at the next step, which is equipment, software, and all this. So we got to do all this back work, which is actually more valuable than anything else, because that's what's going to increase the longevity and the likelihood of you going to be successful, is creating all of this. And then from there, if you can do it in person, like we're doing today, like there's a reason why we're doing this in person. It is better. It's better for retention. We're getting in a better flow. It's more enjoyable.
It looks better.
It looks better. We look better. We can do different things to the camera work. I would do it in person, right? So what you can do here is you could batch the shit out of it, record like 2 or 3 in a day, or record it across a week, and just schedule the whole thing out, right? And from there, we have the idea, the content, and then we just got to be a hound with repurposing content. How I describe it to a lot of our clients is you want to be everywhere at all times. So you want to be like the Gary Vee of podcasting, and I'll come back to Gary Vee in a later time because there's a point I want to touch on him as well. But the whole idea there is the fact that you create content and you're not chasing yourself. You're not in this perpetual wheel of more guests, because the guests are taken care of. We have good content, and now we just run a shitload of content through YouTube, run a shitload of content through Instagram, and if yours is more professional, we bring it through LinkedIn. If it's more bro, we bring it through Twitter. It's very, very simple. And I think you get a lot of longevity out of that then, and just start leveraging it. You're building an asset, okay? I own an actual tangible asset that I can leverage. So I'm able to get other guests because I've had previous guests on. So every time you do a rep, you know that you can come back through the cycle and get better and better and better and better. So everybody, including our clients, are sometimes just chasing like results, right? They're like, we want to see bigger numbers, we want to see more revenue. And it's like, you need to do the work to be able to get those things. You can't just expect to turn on the lights and get those things. So you need to be able to add in different components, and over time it's going to happen. It's just going to click, right? This stuff just clicks over time, but you just need to be able to piece it together and just make sure that you're moving in tandem with what you want. And you also got to realize too, is this the goal that you want? Because it's a tough game, it's a very competitive game, and there's a lot of work involved. Like we spent like half an hour setting this up. We spent the last 2 days prepping content, like getting like question stuff set up. We're recording today. It's a Monday morning. We could be doing 101 different things, right? But if you're building a brand, and if you really want to get your name out there, this is the best way to do it, because it's no bullshit. We're not editing this podcast. Nothing's going to come down. And this is how we're going to get to bigger audiences. And people are going to be like, this is where I saw you. Most people see me before they even want to interact, right? So people don't even listen to the podcast, but they see clips, they see content. So we're trying to create this content wheel and make sure you're thinking of your podcast, if you're starting it new, as this is a central hub. So that hub is within a niche, and that niche is going to drive content for you 24/7. So I could stop recording right now and use my past 163 episodes to create content that would drive revenue, leads, interest, views, subscribers 24/7, but we're trying to move forward, right? So we just got to have those ideas in place, and you're building a proper machine then.
And it creates your personal brand too, because so many people even come up to me and they're like, "Oh, who's the Irish guy that you were with?" Like,
Yeah.
I've seen him somewhere. I literally get
Yeah.
I get messages all the time. Stop trying to get his details from me. And it's like bros too. It's not like girls. It's guys like, "I've seen his face somewhere. Like, connect us."
Yeah.
Blocked.
But yeah, but that's a good point though, is that like you kind of just want to be like everywhere. Like I think I remember even seeing like Tate in the beginning. I saw videos from him on the CEO cast, but I never saw CEO cast. I never heard Tate before, but I saw him on that. And on my just explore page on Instagram, he was every grid. So there's nine images in a grid. He was every single one. So no one knew it was a podcast. No one knew it was a CEO cast. And that grew exponentially, that podcast, because he was just there, right? Right place, right time. So that's really what I think about things, that your podcast is a content hub, and from there, everything else happens.
Nice.
All right, people, we're just going to take one short little break for a little update about Podcast University. So if you enjoy podcasts like this and you want to start your own podcast, head down to the links down below to Podcast University. This is a learning platform that I've built to help people like you build, launch, and scale your own podcast. I wasted many years doing this, making it all up as I go. So I put everything together in a very seamless and easy to follow course for you guys to follow and just learn exactly how to do it. So if you want to bypass a lot of the mess with your podcast, check out the links down below to Podcast University, and it will show you exactly how to launch and scale your own podcast.
Have you had to cut yourself from many friends to get to where you are now?
It's a good point.
Do they mean like cut out friends, or do
Cut out friends, imagine. So
cut yourself from yeah?
I don't like cut myself from anyone at all. But what I do is I just focus on what I need to focus on. So I know I wake up every single day and there's a lot of stuff I need to do for the podcast, a lot of stuff I need to do for Voix, the company. And I have to work on those things 24/7 to ever create anything half meaningful, to even crack the surface of meaningful like insights or go any way deeper. I need to put everything into that, which means not to do with friends, but to do with anyone. I just don't have the time that I used to have, right? So I barely have a few spare hours a day, which are spent training and focusing on other stuff. So it's not like I'm like walking away from things. Even when I'm on like WhatsApp or Messenger, I just don't have the same mental bandwidth to be able to allocate towards loads of other stuff. So if I see people, unbelievable, we catch up, it's great, it's like the old times, whatever. But I'm focused on those different things. Now, in terms of old tendencies, obviously I was like a fucking party boy who would be in like District 8 and like fucking DC 10 for 4 days straight. But I just don't put myself in those scenarios anymore. So when I stopped drinking, it was in Singapore before I came back to Bali. And if I was in Ireland, I guarantee you I would have much more of a temptation to go partying, because, you know, same friends that are doing partying, all that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with doing this. It's just not what I want, and it's also not what I can do to achieve what I want to achieve. So to be able to do that, I need to just focus on myself, right? And that seems very like woo-woo, whatever, but it is focusing on those key levers, which have massive impact. So in general, I don't message people. In general, I'm not very like active on social media. Now I use social media as a complete business tool. So that's what's funny. It's like I say I don't use social media because I don't use it.
You're not scrolling through people's posts.
I don't follow anyone. I don't engage with anyone. I'm just using it for the podcast to grow. And this is, you know, Kickoff Sessions for me is a way to help other people. And then obviously from the business aspect, then it's a way for us to use content to drive further engagement. So they're my two different levers. Now, if people want to come and visit me, all well and good. You know what I mean? That'd be great. And I'd love to see people, but I just don't have the time anymore to be, I don't know, sitting in my hometown for like a week, like going for coffees. I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, I think this one kind of goes hand in hand in a way. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self and give him one piece of advice, what would it be? So maybe like what advice would you give yourself before you're going into university, but then also like the people you're hanging out with, the habits that you're picking up.
Yeah, see, that's a very tough one though, because like
you don't want to change.
No,
like
but
you don't want to regret things.
Yeah,
either.
but I think so. Everything that's happened in my life has made me the man that I am today, and everything that has happened for like a reason, and that's where that's how I've got to where I have now, right? So I think if I went back and changed something there, I would be someone completely different, which could be someone completely worse. So for instance, the easiest thing to say there is like at 18, don't go to college and just go start the podcast and go start the agency at that point and just let it grow, right? But I could, for 9 years, grow something and be an absolute asshole at the end of it, or could have been too early in the agency world, or could have been too early in the podcast world and completely fell behind, right? Or like it just mightn't have taken off, or mightn't have done anything. So it's right place, right time. I think though, at like a more foundational level, you can take more precautionary steps. So like wasting time when I was younger, just like in college, like either wasting time in like the fucking library or wasting time not in the library.
What do you mean, like studying?
Yeah, not studying. I just mean like pissing about. It's like not studying, but just like being there, right? Okay. Or like not putting my time into good use of my time. So I'll give you an analogy. I told you I had that business. I was like 21, the Urban Kick Clothing. Like that was a fucking good business, right? It was
And you learned from it as well.
I learned, so some of the lessons I learned from that clothing company, I still use to this day. Because like a big issue we ran into was infantry. And we ran into like a few marketing issues, and cash was a big issue in the business and all this. I was 21 when I started that. If I kept at that or kept in the e-commerce space, I would have crushed it, right? Because I was always focused on like the next thing. I was like, one of the reasons why I stopped doing it was a few reasons.
Because you got sued by Adidas.
Well, yeah, I can't mention Adidas, but we had like a trademark. We had a trademark infringement, and then Shopify wanted to close down the shop, and they were asking for like, we had to go through different like disputes and stuff like this. It's quite common, right? But one of the reasons why is because I wanted to go traveling. Like that was literally it. I was like, I'm closing this down because I'm going traveling. Like that just would not happen to me now. But because I did that, and I look back at it and being like, I regret that. Whenever I've had trouble, I ran into challenges in this business, I'm always like, keep fucking going. Don't slow down. Because when you did slow down, that's what happened to you, you know? And same with different aspects too. Like I've done other stuff in the past. Even when I had like a coaching business, helping people get into tech and finance, like it was not scalable, like one-to-one coaching, but I guarantee you we could have scaled it by like changing it into like a learning platform or changing it into a community page or something like this. Like it was definitely ways to scale stuff, right? So there's always ways to scale things, and there's a great video that Alex Ramosi just came out with, obviously on the run up to his new book, and it's about like how to get like so rich that you question the meaning of money. And it's such a good video. It's 55 minutes long, and he was like, if you just pick anything, you can scale the shit out of it. And everyone's like, oh, it's not scalable, it's like an agency. You'll find different aspects in there to scale it. So I'll give you an example. If you do retainer based agency work, which is largely what we do, and you charge like $10,000 a month, you can change that to a revenue model, a rev share. So if I worked with, let's say, fucking Google, and I got money for every time someone signed up to Google fucking server or some shit, whatever it is, we could bring that $10,000 a month to $50,000 a month, right, for that one client. So there's always different ways to scale a business, always different ways to do it, but you need to go fully into it. And another point about that video, which I actually said previously on podcast too, is that you never realize the severity of something until you go into it, how much there is involved. So when you're just doing one fucking thing 24/7 all the time, you realize that there isn't just outbound and fulfillment to work on. There's all these small little nuances, and you can add in so much different aspects, and you can improve the offer, improve everything. So that was a big lever for me, which is why like I really, of course, we've just been doing the podcast for so long, but putting a lot of time into our offer for Wix, because I spend a lot of my time just looking at the offer, seeing how we can enhance it, how we can drive more value, how we can get better results for people. Like we get great results, but how can we get even better results, and how can we build out a huge program, which is, I think, how we're going to scale into a mega size media company, which is, I think we'll get into maybe later in this as well. But that will be a big ambition of mine.
Yeah, so basically just keep
going.
Keep going. Fail and learn. Okay. Moving to and living in Bali. Is it easy to get set up, visa, accommodation, adoption, etc.?
I think people that like struggle in Bali are the people that were struggling anywhere in the world.
But I think that also people think, oh my God, I'm going to move to Bali. And first of all, everyone who says that they moved to Bali did not move to Bali. They're here on a 30-day visa and you're on a holiday. But people look
it's called visa on arrival.
Visa on arrival. You had to have an exit flight, so you're not here indefinitely. You're just on a holiday. But I think people also just imagine that it's like That's another thing. When you said like you got to your job and then you got like to the top of your job and you're like, wow, I should be really fulfilled.
Yeah.
People think you get to Bali and you're like, or get to anywhere, fuck Bali, just like
Thailand.
you get to any destination that like looks cool on Instagram and you're like, I made it. Why am I not happy? Like, sure, it's fun when you're in a beach club. It's fun when you're going out. Then a few weeks later, rent is due, more stuff coming up. You're a bit like, I'm not that. It didn't solve my problems.
Yeah.
So I think that people just think like, oh my gosh, what a dream. And it is. I love living here. But just also know that it isn't like
It doesn't
the
solve
goal.
your problems, yeah.
You're just in a new environment.
I think what it does is like it takes care of all the stuff that you would struggle with elsewhere. So for instance, like living in Asia is lower cost of living, higher standard of living. So you can get better accommodation, it's gonna cost less, you eat better, you can train better, it's gonna cost less. So all those shitty issues you have in like London, like Dublin, especially fucking Cork, they go away, right?
True, but then again, the problems that you have in your life, if you're like feeling depressed or you're like having trouble making friends, it's not going to go away.
That's what I
when you
mean.
move.
Is that like you take care of the stuff that are like the standard lifestyle problems, like rent, accommodation, all this kind of stuff. But then the next layer, so it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Your basic needs are taken care of, which is like fucking water, like whatever it is, refuge, all this stuff. And the next step then is like, how do we interact with ourselves, which is like friendships, relationships, all this kind of stuff. If you're not like a social person, you're going to like struggle, right? If you can't put yourself in the right situations, you're going to struggle. Even like people who come here and go on mad nights out, which people do, like they don't come out of those nights out with better relationships, right? They just come out and they're just like super hungover, super depressed. And man, many people on this podcast, like Yola mentioned this before, he was like, the amount of people that I see coming through Bali who were lost and then become even more lost when they get here. And they just run into different situations, like more like society problems, because they're not able to, I guess, I don't know, they're not able to actually like solve the actual issues. Yeah, it's a band-aid, yeah. So basically, long story short, is that it's not necessarily difficult to get set up because you just get like a basic gaff, super simple. You can go to a co-working space.
Talk to agents, get your business set up.
Yeah, you can do all that kind of shit. But then from there, it becomes like, okay, it's just like anywhere else.
It's not your answer.
Yeah.
It's not the solution. But do come. It's beautiful. We love living here. But again, it's not like, oh my gosh, I want to get there. Because it's the same thing. You're going to get to like that job. You're going to get to the highest position and you're like, sick. I'm still unfulfilled. Yeah. So it's not like getting here makes you
It's also like someone else's dream, right? Because like for us, like
even for you, you're not like before when we first got here, you weren't like a beach person. Not true at all. I spent most of my 20s traveling. Sorry, you're not like a lay down and relax on the beach person.
Yeah, but I'm just more about like the lifestyle, the sun, the heat, like training, like being outside. Do you get me? And then you add in then all the other stuff. So that's why for me, like it's just like a place that we are. Like, we could be in like Costa Rica, we could be in Mexico. We just want to be in the sun. Like you grew up in the sun. I spent a lot of my 20s in the sun, like traveling. So I saw the juxtaposition of like Irish lifestyle, UK lifestyle. It's grim. Everyone's miserable. Everyone's complaining about the weather. It's like, that's another thing, right? It's like everyone complains about the weather in Ireland, but they've spent all their life in the weather.
Yeah,
right?
Leave if you don't like it.
If you don't like a scenario, leave, which is exactly why we're here, right? It's because.
But again, once you move somewhere, it's very common as well. Even in Bali, there's a lot of, not like cliques, but I guess people try to stay. If you're Irish people hang out together.
But same with everyone, right?
Everyone does, but I'm saying that if you want to move somewhere and get out of that environment,
yeah,
then actually immerse yourself, get out of that environment. Learn Bahasa Indonesia, hang out with locals, don't just stay with Irish people in Bali, because did you really leave? Yeah, the weather is better now.
100%.
The weather is better, but you're in the same social circle. You're not.
You haven't elevated yourself. Yeah,
network,
you're right. You're not improving. You're just staying literally the exact same. And that's why. So like the advice from the situation is like, if you want to go to Bali, do it. If you want to go to Thailand, do it. Right. But when you get here, you want to meet more people. Like, so I always mention Tom Garner. He's a fucking G. Like, he met Jack Hopkins, who I met with Jack, and then he messaged me being like, I met Jack, and I was like, I instantly just mean this guy was going to get on. Then we went to the gym together, ended up like over food together, just super, super similar. He's like from the UK, he does like loads of random shit, and then we just two people that are similar, right? But if you put yourself in like these situations where you're just with the same fucking people all the time, you're not changing in any regard, right? And like, that's it. That's a long story short. Alright guys, one short little update for Voex. I want to give a short little overview about my own company, my media company called Voex. So if you are a company or you are an enterprise looking to grow your brand and looking to grow your podcast, feel free to reach out to work with us at Voix. What we do is a fully fledged end-to-end management of your podcast. We take care of the strategy, the consulting, we take care of the growth, the management, we take care of all the editing, all the boring stuff so you can focus on creating good podcasts and growing your brand. If you want to grow your podcast and get to new users, if you want to grow your business, generate more revenue and all that good stuff, check out the links down below to Voix. You can follow through to schedule a call with our team, or else you can fill out the application form to see if you qualify to work with us. Thank you.
When is it enough for you? 50K monthly recurring revenue? When are you happy to say this is enough for me now?
Good question. I think as you grow in a business, your problems change, and that's how they should change, right? So I think having like $50,000 a month is like a good like target, but it's not the end goal, because $50,000 a month is $600,000 a year, and that doesn't mean you make fucking $600,000. That means the business makes $600,000. You could be making a fraction of that if you run a shitload of ads and you've loads of operational drag. You could be coming out with nothing. So you need to have those like super big goals that you're working towards, and your goal changes as a result. So in the beginning of OX, we struggled a fuck ton in the beginning to get our alignment right, our branding right, our positioning right, to make sure that we were hitting the right audience 24/7. When we started to get that up, we were scaling, we were going from $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And at that point of growth is when my problem started to change, right? Initially, it was like, give me anything. The next thing was like, give me a good team. The next thing was like, give me good operations. So the goal changes overall. So what we've done to align this is created a blue ocean goal, right? And I've mentioned this before, I think previously on our podcast, is that for us, what we want to do is become like the VaynerMedia, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's company of podcasting. So VaynerMedia and Gary V, he creates so much content for everyone. Like the 14-year-old girl on like TikTok, he's creating content for them, helping them create like viral TikTok posts. But he works with enterprise clients. He works with Salesforce, Google, Amazon, all the big dogs. That's his goal, and it's taken him like 20 fucking years to get to that point. And that's one of our goals for Voix, is that how do we crack the enterprise market? How do we get to large scale so people think that I'm serious, people that take the company serious, people take the team seriously, so we're moving continuously at that goal, right? So for us, the money is a byproduct of execution. So for us, what the whole area is focus on excellence, be ruthless, and be remarkable. The three core components of our company are ruthless, remarkable, and excellence. And where these come from is having a desire to always deliver insane results, right? Really get the best for our clients. Have that element of remarkable, which comes from Seth Godin from Purple Cow, is how do we stand out? How do we make ourselves really a category of one and be on our own? And the last aspect then is excellence. So everything we do, from client services to speaking to people to client success, everything is at 100% 24/7. That's the whole idea. And over time, this is how we're going to grow. This is how we're going to scale. It's how we're going to get to new systems. And I've even brought in people at the moment to try to elevate our brand and bring our brand even bigger. And they just said at the moment, just keep going. Keep growing where you are. Luke Ward, who was on this podcast, I wanted him to come into our business to try to improve things, and he goes, keep going what you're doing. Let's catch up in like a half a year or maybe even a year, and then work together. So for now, I think we have this mega goal, and every single month we're churning it down, we're walking it down, and we're getting there one step at a time. And also, one thing I wanted to say on this as well is that everybody's caught up on this like monthly reoccurring thing, right? Which one comes from fucking SaaS, by the way. So it's like, how much monthly reoccurring revenue do you have? But instead of thinking about how much money do you make per month, think about how much money you're making per year, right? Because if you do 50,000 in a month, but your results are fucking shit, and you do 10,000 the next month, you've had, what's that, like 80% churn, right? And that is not what we want to be doing. We're looking at yearly, we're looking at generational, we're looking at decade-long results, and that's really what we're trying to do here, is that why we moved from the creator-based podcast to a business and corporate style podcast is because we're looking for bigger contracts, we're looking for better clients, longer term clients, people who want to invest in us, who we invest in them, right? And I think that's why I don't look at revenue per month, I look at revenue per year. So as we're growing, that's what we're looking for. And again, another thing on the revenue side of things is that like I've spoken to agencies, and guys have like crazy thin margins, right? So they're making like 200K a month, but they're coming out with like 15,000, which is like mad to think about, because they're co-founders. So if 200,000 a year, 200,000 a month with a co-founder, they run a shitload of ads, they have an SDR, they have a BDR, they have closers, they have all these fulfillment stuff, and they're coming out with 15K a month. What is the point of that, right? When the margins are so thin, it doesn't work out. If you have a 20% margin on 100 million, great. If you have 20% margin on 200K, what are we doing, right? So there's a better way to improve your business. And I've taken inspiration from Neil Patel and Gary Vee. So Neil Patel has a Google Ads agency that's doing 100 million a year, which is like 8 million a month roughly. And he works with enterprise clients, right? So that's the goal. It's a blue ocean goal. Now getting there will take months, years. It might even take me a decade, right? But that's what this takes. And it's so boring. And that's the whole idea, right? That's the whole goal.
What are your income sources?
So basically I reverted everything back down into the media company. That's what we try to do, is that instead of thinking about all this other kind of stupid shit, that are all like time wasters, we filtered everything down into the media company, which grows and scales podcasts, and that's what funds pretty much everything. I do not take sponsors unless they're very big sponsors or they're people that we believe in the brand, right? Because I'm not taking a sponsor that literally just wants like a quick fucking view on YouTube, right? We're looking for building like longer term stuff. So that's the vehicle, like that's the, I guess, cash cow in many regards. And then personally, majority of my money came from private equity, which is ironic because like that's where real wealth comes from, right? Is investing in companies. So I was lucky to invest in a lot of early stage companies or scale ups, which I have majority of my wealth in. But again, it's not liquid, right? I'm not like, the way I think about this stuff is that we don't try to just make money right now. It's longer term, it's decade long, and that's where everything sits. And for context on income sources, I pay myself $0, by the way. I don't have a salary, I don't make money, I have nothing. Consider me broke. I make $0 a month, right? I've never taken a salary. That's not what I'm about. The dream is so much bigger than just getting some money and just blowing it on a fucking
Getting it in your pocket.
Yeah, Balenciaga t-shirt or like a Balenciaga t-shirt or a Rolex watch is not going to make you wealthy, right? Whereas like reinvesting in yourself, right? So when we're building wealth, we're reinvesting in education, we're reinvesting in mentors, we're reinvesting in process and systems and teams, we're investing heavily in the team right now. And that's what's going to build us for long term, right? We have this decade-long thinking versus how can I just flash this on Instagram. So this shirt Elise bought for me like a year ago. It's like dirty and shit, and that's like one of my own shirts.
Coffee on it this morning.
I have these shorts that I pretty got like 6 years ago, I think. I don't even fucking change pretty much, and that's kind of it, right? I don't buy clothes, I don't do stupid stuff. I pay myself $0. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on building.
This is about you. Why you don't reply on DMs?
Stop sending me DMs, people. No, I do respond to people.
How do you switch off?
I'm always on, but I'm always focused on moving the right needles, right? So if I'm chilling out and I'm trying to take it easy, and if I'm thinking about work, it's just focus on maybe some more creative stuff. So like this, I had this idea for this podcast. Instead of doing a Q&A in my fucking bedroom with a decent enough camera, it's like, how could we do something which involves us, tells a story, tells a dream, pulls us together. It's fun and it's more creative, right? So I try focus on things that are more creative when I'm trying to switch off, right? And just think about these small kind of nuances. How can we improve our offer? Just small things like this within the company.
When is your head ever actually like off?
I think the only time surfing. So the things that I do outside of everything are the gym, which can be tough because if I'm up early working and then I go to the gym, when I'm in the gym, a lot of my team are up and they're like pinging me and shit. So I kind of feel like I'm on, even though I don't respond to messages. So I feel like I'm never really off. Maybe when I'm in a sauna and the ice bath, I'm trying to like chill out, but I'm still thinking about work, right? And the last aspect then is when I'm surfing. So because surfing is so fucking dangerous and I die like 4 times a week, I'm not thinking about anything else. But surfing is a very interesting one because surfing is the only thing that I hate doing before I do it. I wake up in the morning with like such anxiety, like proper anxiety every morning when I wake up surfing, because if you get up super early, you're up at like 6. Well, I'm always up at 6 anyway. But if you get like beyond the water for like 5:30,
and it's cold,
and there's like
it's dark,
and there's snakes everywhere. Bear in mind, and I'm like super fucking anxious, and I'm like, oh. And the night before, like I got a message from my surf coach today, and he was like, oh, what time you want to go out tomorrow? And I'm like, oh. But then when I'm out there, I'm just thinking about nothing. Everyone there, and what I love as well is when you're surfing that everyone is just like super different, right? Like no one is like you, or there could be people like you, but we're not like talking about it, right?
You're just
like,
all on your own.
Yeah, just like on the water, it's like chill.
World
and, like,
with nature.
Yeah, you're just in nature, right? And then like when the waves are like like literally breaking your neck, you're kind of like bonding in some regard about that. Like if I got up out of a wave and I'm like trashed from the water, I look at a dude and I'm like, we're both like alive. And like that's just kind of nice, right? It's like, it just doesn't really matter who the fuck you are. The guy probably doesn't speak English. Bear in mind, he could be like Brazilian or Portuguese or something like this, right? And like no English whatsoever. And it's just like super cool. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't care. You don't care. And that's a good way. So my approach to this is like, because I'm very active and very like ADHD vibes, I like to turn off by doing something. And then even when I'm doing something, I might be thinking about it, but at least I'm occupying a different part of my brain. And this is actually why I didn't start boxing when I got to Bali. It's why I went back surfing, even though I surfed in the past. It's because I wanted to do something that wouldn't be super competitive, even though it's just competitive with myself. But it's like, if I do something that's super, super competitive, I'm just going to try to win. And I'm just like, and I leave that environment more tired than I joined. So like bodybuilding is like,
excursion.
yeah, like bodybuilding is huge for me like that. Like everyone's like, go to the gym for your mental health. I go to the gym and I'm like, I am not big, I'm not strong, I'm not getting bigger, I'm not getting fast, I'm faster, I'm not getting leaner. And that like means that when I'm training at like this crazy high output that it's not like net beneficial for me turning off. You know what I mean? It's the opposite, to be honest.
Okay, on the topic, are you natural or not? And natty.
All natural, baby. So the only ever time that I was ever posed a question about going non-natural was when I was competing. I was like 21. Was
And
like
you didn't, yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you never taken anything.
Yeah, it was like basically I was asked like, would I like take gear and go on gear and stuff like this, and then I remember just thinking like, bodybuilding for me isn't like forever, right? And my coach is a great example of this. Like he's like Dara's like fucking all in 24/7. He's like all in, and I just wasn't, right? In the early 20s, I wasn't. I was like relatively lean, and I just wanted to travel. So if I went on a juicing cycle, like it's just so not worth it, right? It's just like so not worth it. Your post-cycle therapy, PCT, I would have like fucked it, so it was not worth me doing. And then thankfully, I'm glad.
And your hormones, it's just
yeah, exactly.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy, and it also it like aggravates the negative side of you. So like if I'm like impatient, which I am.
Yeah, you
generally,
have too much masculine energy already.
Yeah.
You're already like, I need more. I need to work harder. I need to grow my business. I need this. You never can switch off like you're saying. So then I feel like if you were taking like gear or something, it would just heighten it.
It would just be like, oh, why am I not getting the most out of it, right? Because that's the thing for me is like, it's like who am I? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And what can I do better? This is like there's a big principle of like how I look at things. It's like who am I? So if you're someone who's like on gear, and you want to be a bodybuilder, go for it, right? Go for it as much as you want, but you have to go for it, right? You can't just like do some of it and just not do it. And that's a big part about me as well. Is like if I'm going to do something, we have to get the studio, we have to get the camera. We got a second. So we came into the studio today. We had one camera, and I was like, we need a second camera, right? Because we need the best.
High maintenance.
Yeah, it was like we need the best, right? And like the guy was like, do we need a second camera? And I was like, we need the fucking second camera. It's just the best, right? How can we make this better? And that's the way I can think about things. So down the natty and non-natural side, like if you go down the non-natural route, you got to be doing it for the right reasons, right? Because if you don't, you're going to be super regretful of it, I think, anyway. And the last thing I would say about this as well, I want to get your opinion on this, is that girls don't give a fuck past when you get muscular and lean and you are tanned and you are not a dickhead. Like the extra layer. So for me,
I'm looking for abs and biceps. Anything else? It doesn't need to be great, as long as it's visible.
Yeah,
that's
all.
What
I mean.
But if there's somebody like on gear, I'm a bit more it's not like sexy.
That's because they could have gone on.
Everyone's different.
Like, everyone's different. Yeah.
But for me, I don't find that like super like that huge.
But
look.
the flip side too as well. Like say like what I'm doing right now, me at 75 kilos versus me at 72 kilos. Do you even give a fuck?
No, I don't notice.
Exactly. Like girls don't notice this shit, right? It's guys that notice it. I'm in the gym and a guy's like, I like your rear delt. Your rear delt is moving in this motion. Like it's dudes that so you get more attention from dudes than you do from guys.
Yeah, Darren gets hit on by guys way more than I do.
Literally. Like whenever I'm traveling, like and Elisa's somewhere else, like dudes would hit on me more than guys would. And like there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not like fucking like whatever.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's funny because guys notice guys' physiques.
Yeah.
Girls aren't like, ooh.
Yeah, like a guy will notice. A guy will notice.
You notice if a guy's fit or not.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, he's fit, but I'm not thinking, he should really start working on his back more.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on this is like, guys are the only people who notice someone who's like 12% body fat or 10% body fat. You know what I mean? A girl's just like, he looks decent and he's not a dickhead. That's like what the girls are like interested in. You know,
Fair.
that's it.
Okay, so after natural, like what supplements do you take? Do you take anything?
Just protein. So basically, the main thing what I'm focused on is that I'm on like a very minimalistic view of like world and life. But to do with my food, all I do is oats and protein.
So
and that's
boring.
oats. So boring. Oats and protein, and then creatine, which is sick, and then pre-workout. And the pre-workouts in Asia are kind of shit. Not gonna lie to you. You can't really get like great pre-workouts, but I just use like very very basic pre-workouts. Beta alanine. I don't even know what's in it, to be honest. Just other stuff, but mainly I have creatine, protein, and that's it.
Perfect. Bali or Thailand?
They're different, right? So like,
You can't compare.
no, you can in some regard,
You
because
can.
I would say that because we've eyed up both of them as long term stays. Like where do I want to stay for like long term? And the thing with Thailand, I think anyway, is that it's much more perceived as a place you go as a tourist, whereas Bali is much more perceived as somewhere that you can like live or
Yeah.
stay. So even like the duration of tourists in Bali versus Thailand. Thailand is like, how can I get as fucked as possible on all islands? How can I get like fucked on every island as fast as possible and then like just go home, right? Whereas in Bali it's like, okay, like let's knock out like a month, or like let's knock out like 2 months or 6 months. And also the age demographic, like Thailand is like 21, 22. We went back there when I was like 24, 25, and it was so great. We went back there last year and it's great. But it's like, it is like, you know, fucking chum buckets or whatever it's called, where everyone drinks from. Chum buckets from SpongeBob. You know, you know
Yeah,
that?
the party buckets
Party
with like a
buckets, yeah.
straw.
So that stuff is just like Thailand 101, right? Whereas like Bali, it is older. Like you could be like 28, 29, and it's just like, it's like a perfect age in Bali, I think, to be honest. And there's different aspects in Bali as well that you can kind of,
Would you call Bali slightly more mature?
it's more mature, but of course you can be like a dumbass
and
here.
out,
and this.
yeah.
But I mean, it is more mature for sure. And you can stay here longer and stuff like this, right? Then in terms of like setup, I think Thailand is way more beautiful than Bali in some regards in terms of like the beaches. Like the beaches in Bali or beaches in Thailand are fucking sick.
Yeah, we're also comparing an island to a whole country too.
The whole country, but I mean like the,
instead of Indonesia has beautiful wildlife, Bali has beautiful wildlife, but definitely I think the views and landscape and beaches in Thailand.
yeah.
Again, we're comparing an island to a whole country.
Yeah, you have greater landscape in Thailand, and I think another thing actually is that you can get around easier in Thailand than
Yeah,
Indonesia.
you can island hop.
Yeah, you can, but they're all so close, right? So you can be in like Phuket.
You can pick your vibe in Thailand because again, he's comparing to a whole country. So if you want like a hippie spiritual yoga vibe, I was in Koh Phangan for weeks, months. Beautiful, really lovely place. I know people living there for years and years. And then you can, if you want like Bangkok, you want a bit hustle bustle, you want
Yeah.
Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, Pai, you kind of can pick. And again, same with Indonesia, but you never hear, like people just move to Bali. You don't talk about going to Jawa, you're not talking about Sumatra, you're not
So
talking about
true.
Mentawai.
So fucking true. Yeah, that's so true actually.
So you're just
right.
comparing a small area.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, that's such a good point. So it just depends. They're very, very different. And I think as well.
Just go to both and see what you like.
Yeah, I think the visa situation is meant to be weird in Thailand too. Is like people are just like, I don't know. I think it's meant to be very difficult to stay there like long term. I know a lot of people that get married to Thai women and then they still can't even stay in the country. Yeah, there's like weird rules and stuff like that. So
Getting into entrepreneurship, easiest online. Okay, if you're looking for the easiest business, you probably should not be getting into entrepreneurship. I'm so sorry.
what's the question?
Getting into entrepreneurship, easiest online business to start with low costs.
I know. I like that question. It's a good question. So the reason why he's saying that I think is because like a lot of things seem expensive, right? If you start like an e-commerce store, it's going to cost you like a couple $1,000 to test a product and then to run ads and to run inventory, like all this kind of stuff takes a lot of time. I think honest to God, like the best thing to do is a service business. Like service businesses are fucking sick, right? Because
Or
it's-
digital project.
yeah, but the digital products, which we can get to, like you need distribution, right, to some degree, or you can run ads. But with service businesses, it's ridiculously high margins. You can charge a premium pretty quickly, anywhere from 1,000 to 6,000 or 7,000 a month, and you have zero cost to get set up. So let's just walk through what I have. So at Vox, basically, we're focused on podcast production. Because I had this expertise, and that's the key fucking point, right? You have expertise in something, you can bring this to people and say, hey, I can do this for you. We can grow this for you. In our instance, we can grow a podcast. And now I can bring this to people. So it's cost me zero money so far. It's cost me time to acquire the skills. And now I can bring this premise to people and charge a premium, because you're going to be charged on it's like a tenure basis or retainer basis. And with that model, you can now bring this to other people. So that's how we were able to get like ridiculously high margins straight away and just move the needle forward. And when you start getting money in, that's when things will start begin to click, right? I compare that to even digital products. So we have products and yeah, they do fine, but you have to do all the work in the beginning. So first you got to validate the idea, make sure that's completely correct. And you don't get to fine tune the ideas too much, especially if it's like an actual product. Whereas for us, our offer started with, we will manage your podcast. It's like as simple as that. And then it was like, we will grow your podcast. And then it was like, we will manage and grow. And now it's like, we will manage, grow your podcast, and we'll offer coaching, consulting, and we guarantee a 300% increase in growth, and we'll work for free if we don't. So our offer is like super, super strong, right? It's like relentlessly strong. It's a big offer. And that's why it works really well. So service business is fantastic. And then what I love is, again, how we can scale this is you can scale your team. You can start bringing a team and training them. And you can also start operating rev shares. You can start operating digital products and build this whole suite, right? Which is kind of like what we're doing, which is exactly what we're doing, what I'm trying to say. And it works really, really well. Now, I want to compare that to one thing before we move on, is to SaaS, right? So I've recorded a few SaaS podcasts that are going to be coming out pretty soon. And I think recording like SaaS, I think building SaaS and building a software and building code is awesome, right? So the upside to this is scalable, sellable, it's an asset, recurring revenue, all this. However, software is so fucking hard, right? I've spent 4 years building software, and there's so many bugs, so many issues, so many problems. It's very difficult to get product market fit. So having the right product in front of the right audience for you to scale. So let's just use a simple example. So everyone knows MailChimp, right? It's for email copywriting, right? MailChimp, you need to find the right audience, right? So who are the people that need to send emails? And you need to build the software. It needs to not be buggy, not have issues, and you need to be able to scale it, right? So it's going to cost you so much to build the product, number one. Then it's going to cost you so much to test the product, and it's going to cost you a lot to scale the product, right? Because you need to run ads and all virality and content marketing and all this kind of stuff. So you could have put down 100,000, 200,000 to build a very big company now, right? You can do MVPs and all this kind of stuff. But my mate Ned Phillips, who has Bamboo, which is a massive robo-advisory company, he's been 7 years at it. And he literally, you can kind of see the anguish in his eyes sometimes when he talks about it, about how hard it is. And he's mentioned on the podcast before how much he struggled with it too. So I just don't think, so SaaS is a trend, and shitting on agencies is a trend. Don't believe it, right? Focus on your skills. I think agency is a great way for people to get started, and then you can do anything you want afterwards then.
Okay, so this guy says, I'm 21, advice for a young man who desires to become high value, money and finding a girlfriend. So I guess for the money, it would kind of be how you're just saying, like starting your own business and how you want to go about it.
I kind of have a different perspective on this these days. So like, from like 21 to 24, I was in my like real party phase. So that's where like everyone now is telling you these days to give up girls and focus on the business and build a business, build a brand. I was like building myself. I was traveling a lot. I was exploring a lot. And then I was still getting fit, and I was still working on my education at the time. So by the end of like 24, or through that period, I'd become experienced in just like life, right? I was in good shape. I had good chat and everything. And that's when I met you. I was doing a lot of dating. I was meeting a lot of girls. No girls were like, what's your MRR a month? They didn't give a shit. I couldn't even get to that stage with girls unless I had like game, and I was like good looking, and I was like putting myself together, right? I was like fit, healthy, like things like this. I'd putting my shit together. So that's more important.
I think also how you graft a girl is also how you graft clients too. I think that's important.
It is, yeah. It's
not
the same.
You personally. I mean, like I think that's important that you should.
Everything sales.
Yeah. Work
Grafting
on your confidence. Work on your banter.
Grafting is sales. Tinder's outbound messenger. Closing is like closing is getting girls on a date, and then like converting them fucking into leads. Then from there, it's when people are like texting other girls. It's the same principle, right? It's the same concept, but it's persuasion, right? That's literally what it is.
Her hot friends.
Literally, but it's persuasion. But I think when you're 21, now like it's very easy to be very confused, right? Because guys are telling you these days on Twitter who are like virgins that you shouldn't be like getting with girls and you should become like a high value man. You should do all this shit. I think, to be honest, you should just become a good human, right? Travel, be good, be like be like a genuine lad, help other people, help other girls, right? And be known as someone who's like actually like genuine, and then be building the business and be doing other stuff too, right? But as I mentioned to you before, like you couldn't give a fuck what I do initially, you know what I mean? Because you're like young, good-looking girl who just like wants like a good-looking dude, right? And then
I
over
do not
time,
care what you do for work.
and then over time, then though, like of course there's other modalities add in, but if you're trying to find like someone who's like a super hot partner or whatever, you got to be careful like what they want to, right? Because if you're going to somewhere like Dubai, you're gonna get a girl who's just chasing like the guy with the biggest boat, right? So if you're like 21, 22 years old, you don't have a boat, and then if you're like 28 and you have a boat, right? They're gonna get with someone who has a bigger boat, but then like that girl may not be the girl who you want to get with anyway. So now,
But if you're trying to use money to attract a girl, it's not going to work.
100%.
Well, it will work. You'll find someone, but is that not that? I don't know.
Find the wrong partner.
You'd find the wrong partner. You don't want to attract someone with money. You don't need to work on get the business first and then I'll meet someone.
Yeah, you just want to be able to
live
bring them
life.
through the lifestyle, right?
Meet
So like,
someone.
yeah, so you have the business, you're working on everything, you're moving forward, and then she sees that. And I remember, I forget the name of the dude, but it's a guy in a, oh my god, what's the name of the podcast? I think it's called Your Mom's House. There's the name of the podcast. Basically, an old dude's a comedian dude. Him and his wife run it together, and she was saying that like when she got with the husband, like 21, 22, he was like broke, and they were like just dating. She's like, the biggest thing he had was ambition. She could see in him that he was getting up every day, working his fucking ass off, not eating fucking Cheetos and moving towards a goal. And she like admired the ambition and drive versus like any of the results. He didn't get results for like 20 years, and apparently they were like broke for so long. And like they're happily married, whatever, and they have a good lifestyle. So she's part of the mission, part of the goal, and moving towards that. And that's so much more important. And they're not really there for the highlight reel, because women in particular are not going to be there for the highlights. As in, like, me and Elise like live together. We lived together for years now, bear in mind. We lived together for like 3 years.
We moved in
So
straight
soon.
away.
Yeah, because Elise is from America, I'm from Ireland. Visas are all fucked up, so we had to live together as a result, and yeah, it was a bit of a mess. Anyway, but they're there for like everything, right? So if they're part of the mission, that's way more important, because unlike when you meet your friend and they're like, oh, I do like $100,000 a month, when they don't, by the way, they're lying or they're making it up or it's fabricated or they have 10% margin. Unlike that highlight reel, a good woman's going to be there for everything, and she's going to be there from the very beginning. So that's, or from the truth, the story. So that's how you attract someone, is that you're a part of like a decent mission. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think another thing from his question too is what would you actually credit to a high value man? What does that mean to you?
Someone that's genuine, and someone who's like who
Sorry.
executes on what they say they're going to do, and actually is results driven. So I think I always say you should judge a man by his results, not by his words. So when a
Yeah,
lot
everyone
of guys,
can talk shit.
yeah, everyone talks a big game these days. Everyone talks about how much clients they have or how much money they're doing, but you judge a man based on his results. I will not tell you what reps I do in the gym. I'll just show you the progress. Right? I'll show you the output. This is what we've got to. This is where we are. I'll show you the output. Same in the business. We walk, because it's a business podcast. We walk through some things we do, obviously, but fundamentally we're results driven. Same with the podcast. We want the results, right? So I think you judge a man by his results, and if he doesn't have the results, you judge a man by his drive. Because if you see a person who's working towards a goal, which was me for quite some time, and he's working towards it, that's admirable. But if you're looking at a dude who's just talking a big game, who's sitting down and doing fucking nothing, scrolling Twitter, that's not a dude you want to be around, right? That's just not a dude you want to be around. He's a drag. He's operational drag. He's going to drag you down and drag people around you.
I think it's also that I'm like 100% like, you're supposed to have a good balance of feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like just feminine energy. I don't have that much of like that drive. But then again, coming from that, I think that a high achieving man to me then, as somebody who's very like feminine energy, like calm in the moment, that I'm looking for somebody's like character.
Is what?
Somebody's character as well.
Yeah, 100%. You
Just
don't give a
like
shit about half the stuff.
If you're nice, if you're good, like it doesn't give a shit about anything else.
Yeah.
All that I would care is somebody who's like, yeah, ambitious. You don't need to have a good job. You should be passionate about what you do. I think that's the most attractive, is actually passionate about what you're doing instead of just doing it like, oh yeah, I make good money. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, sure.
And what do you do in your free time? How do you take care of the people around you?
Ibrahim Turner was on my show recently. You should actually meet him. He's a good dude, and his girlfriend as well. She's very nice, apparently. He said that, guys were messaging being like, oh, like, business is doing really well, but me and my girlfriend are like falling out all the time. And he was like, what do you talk to your girlfriend about? And he was like, well, I just built this new code platform, so sometimes I talk to her about like the code underneath the platform. And he
Oh
was
my
like,
God, I guess so boring when Darren talks to me about work.
true, but
It's so
but I don't get into detail, right? But on that point, he was like, dude, no wonder she resents you, or no wonder she's bored, because you're talking to her about like code, right?
Yeah.
Talk to her about the journey or something. Talk to her about how the journey makes you feel, but don't just be talking to her about fucking code, right? And that's what I also try to do with you a lot of the time. Sometimes I might overstep my boundaries, whatever, but I'm trying to like talk more about like the goal and what we've achieved and the milestones versus should I send this outbound message and should I send it 2 days or 3 days after? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Next question.
What was the biggest mistake you made episode 1 to 100? What even was episode 100?
Joe Delaney.
Nice.
G. Biggest mistake, I think as I mentioned before, was that I had Daniel Crosby on my podcast and my laptop broke. It was a fucking Dell flip screen laptop.
Was that in Singapore?
Nah, I think it was here. And such a fucking shame. Like Daniel's he's a behavioral psychologist. He focuses on like a financial advisor and everything. And my laptop just exploded, like proper airplane sounding laptop, and just went and bang. But thankfully, Zoom actually had it backed up, and I was on Zoom at the time, which shows how long ago it was, and the whole thing just like fell apart. But we had like 40 minutes, but it was such a shame though. I'd love to record again, maybe in the future.
What episodes do you look back proudly on?
Justin Water was a sick episode. I really liked that. Like I've obviously had episodes that done a lot better than that, but the Justin Water episode was like a real like moment for me. I think it's just because it was obviously like relatively recent. Also, Joe Delaney episode was a huge moment too, because like Joe Delaney is someone that I followed since like 17, maybe not 17, maybe like 19, 20, and then like to just be on like a call with him is just like fucking like ridiculous. And also people like Rob, like so like me and Rob.
Yeah, you'd be watching these fitness channels too.
Yeah, one of the best moments for me and like with like Rob is the fact that I'd watched Rob's content for so long, like 7-8 years. And when people were like, oh, like, who's this Rob guy? I was always taking notes. I was always watching his content. I learned how to track my macros, bear in mind, from his fucking videos back in the day. And I was like 8 years ago, I was like, who is this guy? This content is so fucking good. And then over years then, I just became more and more entrenched with it. He was growing. And then I ended up recording with him. And it was like such a fucking serendipity moment. And then years later, we started recording again. And then we started working together. And then I was like, it was like a proper like pinch me moment, because someone that I'd followed for so long, got so much value from, we're now working together. And me and Rob would just be on like a Zoom call, like looking at podcasts and just being like, this one's good, this one's bad, this one's good, this one's bad. And now we're like iterating on ideas together. We're like doing creative work together. We're trying to like literally level up. And I think it's just so fucking cool that like, he's like, I think maybe he's like 4 years older than me, maybe 4 or 5 years older than me. And now that we like work together on stuff is like, for me, huge, because he like trusts me, well hopefully I obviously like really trust him, and then we're like focused on things together as a goal. And I think that's just like so fucking cool, right? Because I can't say that for people who follow people for like 10 years they end up working with them. It's like awesome, right? And Rob's taught me so much beyond like, I don't know, just like how to like live life, right? Because he's like 31, maybe 32 at this stage, or 31. He's like minted. He's living in Marbella. He's a good partner. He's like 4 different businesses. They're all doing class. He's a huge network. He's like happy all the time. He's super healthy. Yeah, he's just like a dude. He's just exactly how I'd like my life to turn out to be. And I can work with him. And I can just message him on WhatsApp if I have a question, which is like awesome.
So back to the, like when you're starting your podcast, so a lot of these are kind of from the beginning. In your first 12 to 18 months of your business journey, how much focus did you put on personal brand? Okay, they got cut off, but how much focus did you put on personal brand?
It's everything. I didn't even know so I knew what a personal brand was early on, but I didn't know how to use it, right? So we ran a very, very poor podcast in the beginning. It was very operationally just all over the place. It looked terrible. No one wanted to share it. Like, people didn't want to share it. Guests didn't want to share it because it was very, like, botched together. But that was kind of building the brand, right? And it was, like, dark and had that kind of black tone, which is still obviously everywhere. But that was slowly building the brand. And Seth Godin calls it the sneezer effect. It's like if you have an idea and you sneeze, it spreads, right? And you want your ideas to spread. And over time, I was spreading the idea of my podcast and what I can do for people. And that personal brand, what I was trying to do, even though I wasn't doing it properly, was excellence. Again, one of our core values is like excellence. So some of my early clients were people that were from my podcast, and I never pitched to them. I would never pitch like to someone on my podcast. I'd fucking hate to do that. And they would reach back out and say, "Hey, I had a great experience on your podcast. It looked fantastic. Can you do it for us?" So I was building this brand, and I was able to monetize the brand, and the brand sits on top of like who I am. So it was like, this dude is just recording these podcasts. He applies a level of professionalism, and then it grows as a result. And that's what the brand became, right? Was this like ultra high quality, high level of excellence, going all in on something. So people felt that they could trust me to do the same for them. And that's how we built the brand around it. So I think it's more important
Yeah, I think
than
your
anything
personal
else.
brand connects to your trust.
100%, yeah. Because the way I see it is
You
that,
can't
like,
build trust if I don't know who you are.
yeah, and I think as well is that everything that I've done is ever documented. Now, one thing on that is that I record podcasts for guests, so it's not like I'm embedding my beliefs 24/7, right? But I am, to some degree, like getting my point across. And because I'm doing that, people are seeing that. Hopefully, people perceive me as someone who's not full of shit, right? That's what I want to be perceived as. Is that like
Not a talker.
not a talker, like as in like I'm literally doing it, right? And that's the biggest thing. And then when we leverage the brand, how I leverage the brand then is that if I got on a call with someone, right, and I'll give you an example. This happens very frequently, by the way. I get on a call with someone and they say, their podcast sucks. They can't grow it. It's very difficult. They want to give up. They want to quit. My exact response is, I've been there. I feel it. It hurts and it sucks. And I've done it, but we can get through it. And that's the biggest thing, is the fact that I have gone and done this thing. It's really fucking hard. Really fucking difficult. But I've done it, and I'm here to help you do it too. And that's the trust element, is that they're like, whoa, look, I've never heard your podcast or even seen it, but I know that you applied that level because I look at it and it looks pretty, right? And you worked hard on it. I'm like, yeah, it took 3 years. And guess what? I never took a day off, and I never took a break. And I wanted to, but I mentally couldn't. I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would know exactly what I needed to go do, and I'd have to go do it. And it sucked, but it's just the way my brain is wired.
Yeah, I feel like so many people say, I never take a day off. And Darren actually doesn't, even when he should.
But for me, it's weird, right? Because, like, I'll give you a good
Like, you're
example.
like, weekends don't exist.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I want to go
that's-
to the beach. He's like, it's Saturday. I'm working. I'm like, yeah, it's Saturday. Let's go.
So I wouldn't say that I work in the context of I am working, I am on 24/7. What I would work in the context of is this, right? Is that, like, let's say me and Elise, I'll give a good example. Yesterday we went for like a drive. We were with Elise's family. We came back. We're all chilling in the house. When we're all chilling, I'm not watching Love Island. I'm just on my laptop. So I'm sitting on a bed and I'm just on my laptop. But we're just making moves, right? 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And 4 hours might go by. We've all just chilled out. We're on the couch. But I've done like a load of stuff. I prepped content for a week. We did a load of outbound messages. We have lots of guests coming in. We've all this stuff being organized. So we're always moving the needle, right? So like move the needle every day. And it's kind of like fun, right? It's like a game. Now some of the stuff is like not as fun, but I like to just move the needle ever so slightly. And now what I'm trying to focus on really is all the non-fun stuff. So like the outreach, the difficult sales calls, all that kind of stuff. Getting all that stuff right, is becoming increasingly more important for us because as we're trying to scale, it's way more focused on that versus the low-hanging fruits.
Yeah. So the other questions are kind of going more into lifestyle and routine. So I guess this person's asking, like, what is your morning routine?
I have the
So-
least sexiest morning routine in the world. So when everyone is telling you to get up and walk and do all this stuff, firstly, it's very difficult to walk in Asia because the roads are so dangerous everywhere. It's just straight roads, right? So how I wake up is very hilarious. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, about 5:30. I set no alarm. My body clock naturally will wake up at this time because I'm dieting at the moment, so I wake up quite hungry. And then when I wake up, then I do not go for a morning walk or any of this. I just rail a coffee. I just get straight into work. and I'll do the most difficult part first thing in the morning.
He still has all the curtains closed. I'm sound asleep on the bed.
Yeah.
next
So I do
door.
everything in darkness. I have no lights in the room. I have everything in darkness. I'm looking at my laptop. It's completely dark. And the reason why is because I have a cup of coffee and I go straight into the heaviest part. So I'll prep a lot of like outreach. I do a lot of heavy content writing in the beginning because that for me is a big lever of how we push the business. And we do a lot of the heavier side of stuff. So planning roadmaps with the team, planning a lot of our review content, our content reviews, and doing a lot of the heavier stuff first thing in the morning. Bear in mind, curtains closed, room black, completely dark. And that brings me from
asleep.
dogs asleep. Everyone's asleep, everyone's off, everyone's asleep, and it's just me in darkness. And I'll do that from about 5:30 to 9. And that brings you up to about 9 o'clock. And at that point then, I'm pretty fucking shagged. So I'm going to have like breakfast at that point, and then I'll go to the gym. And when I go to the gym, then I know that all the heavier stuff is done. So the team can pick it up from there. And then we're training, we're doing a session, we're doing cardio afterwards. And then we're in the sauna, we're in the ice bath, we're eating in the gym too to save time. And then we're back for the middle section then, which is like kind of the boring section of the day, which is like the admin where we kind of like get shit done. And then we're into the later stages of the evening, where I actually focus more on the podcast in the later evening, even though it's always in focus, right? But that's how I kind of would structure it. When I was in Singapore, I'd actually walk in the morning, but you just can't really do it here that often. And it also gets dark, it gets bright at 6:30, which is actually not that early. So when you wake up in the morning, it's like fucking pitch black, right? So I just get straight into work and move the needle.
Do you do any intermittent fasting? Not really.
Not really. Like, I think all like intermittent fasting and like carnivore diets and stuff, they're all well and good when you're in a surplus, right? When you're eating whatever you want, it's like, yeah, I don't eat for 18 hours a day, but then I eat 3,500 calories in 4 hours. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to eat anyway afterwards. Or carnivore diets are super easy because you're eating 3,500 calories. But for me, I'm on 2,100 calories a day, bear in mind. And I've done this for like 10 weeks straight. And I've done 2,400 calories for 12 weeks straight before that. So when you're down to these, like, I call them like very, small calories, it's about optimizing, right? So my last meal will probably be like 8 p.m. and then my next meal is like 9 a.m. So that's like 14 hours, right? But it's all about what suits you. I think, so my coach hates this, but I like larger meals spaced out. So like a large meal at like 9 a.m., a large meal at 2 p.m., and a large meal at 7 p.m. He hates that. He wants it spaced out, and I try to space it as a result. But that's what I want to do, right? But some people then will only want 2 meals, or like you like fucking snacks in between, just like small things.
Yeah.
But like not even unhealthy stuff. But
No,
you
I'm
just
like having tapas all day,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah, you like and like I would fucking hate
I want
that.
a little falafel sandwich.
And Elise looks at like Uber Eats, and she's like scrolling through Uber Eats for like 4 hours a day. That would drive, not 4 hours, but that would just drive me bananas.
I'm so indecisive.
But you like that though. You
I
like
love
different
just
food.
ordering good food. I like.
And like George, when I recorded with George Armstrong the other day, he was giving me shit for like eating the same food every day, and he was like, "Oh, he has like tacos for breakfast. He has like a
nice.
bacon roll. Yeah, so he's a bodybuilder, right? And he's like tacos for breakfast, a bacon roll. He has like oats. He has like a coffee. He has a kombucha.
Yeah, I want like 4 cute meals a day.
Yeah, and
like little.
Sorry, this was his breakfast.
Wait, that's all one meal.
He has this giant plate, and he'd have tacos, a bacon roll. He'd have eggs. He has a chicken breast. So like a chicken
for breakfast.
Wait, a chicken run breakfast. A kombucha, a coffee, like a smoothie, and a smoothie bowl. That's his breakfast, bear in mind. And he was telling me this, and I was like, what?
Okay, but he probably is a lot fitter than my scrawny arms, so
Well,
I'll give him
huge.
that.
Yeah, he's huge. But I just mean, like, he
Yeah,
said to
for
me, he was like,
purpose.
I mean, he's never restricting his food. And I was like, all right. I was like, that's cool, dude. I was like, I don't, I'm not like, oh my God, you should do the other thing. But for me, and especially my coach too, like me and Dara are very like systematized, that we're like, I just don't really give a fuck about it. I just don't care.
Schedule.
Yeah, I just don't really care about the food that much.
So how does your fitness or diet translate positively into everything? So work, mood, etc.
It all works together. So the biggest thing for me was that I'm young, dumb, a lot of the times hadn't a clue what I was doing, and to some degree still have no idea what I'm doing. But fitness is the basis for everything that I've ever done. The fact that I'm able to show up and go to the gym and work really hard and hit a workout and nail my nutrition and track my workouts and track my metrics, track my sleep and put them all together, that gave me confidence because I saw the outcome and I was able to get like really fit and really healthy. And then I use this as a basis for everything else. So when I was going to do exams, and I remember I had to do like 6 months of study, I remember being like, when I've done competing and I've tracked all my food and stuff, I can apply that level of discipline and consistency and bring it into bodybuilding or bring it into education. At the same time, in the career aspect, when most people were going out, smashing beers on a Thursday, taco fucking Thursday, drinks Friday, all this bullshit, I was never doing that. Yeah, I was never doing that. I remember we went into working in an investment bank in London. They were like, yeah, we go for drinks on Thursdays. And I was like, doesn't work for me. And they were like, this like graduate dude is not going to come out with us. And I was like, yep, I'm not coming out. They're like, why? And I was like, I got to go to the gym. They're like, when? I was like, 6 a.m. on a Friday. And they were like, they thought I was lying. And then I would show up with the bag afterwards, like my gym bag and all my food. And they would say, oh, that's all going to run out of you. When you get 27, 2018, you're going to slow down and all this. And I was like, fucking watch me. If anything is speeded up, because I could leverage that and get it compounded, and I got way more, I gained a lot more confidence, right? So then when I was going to do different things, and I'll give you an example, when we were building out Voex and we were building for so long, right? It was took so long and it was so difficult and so challenging, but I applied the same principles: patience, consistency. It's going to take longer. Metrics matter. All this kind of stuff, and we use it as a baseline and bring that into the business, the brand, even relationships. Like if we ever run into like issues with like communication and whatnot, it's like, okay, we fixed the problem, but it's going to take like a few weeks for it to see the benefit, right?
Yeah.
It's you take that from like a fitness perspective. It's like, well, things don't happen overnight with fitness. It's not going to happen overnight with relationships too.
Yeah, and I think it's same when you asked earlier, like, what does a girl look for, like, the natural or not? Do you want a guy that's, like, super, super big? It's also just, if a guy goes to the gym, it shows that they take care of themselves. It shows that you're disciplined and that you actually take care of yourself. Like, does he have nice teeth? Does he brush his teeth? And, like, does he take care of himself? Personal hygiene. Does he, I would see, like, does somebody cut their nails? If a guy doesn't cut his damn nails, I'm like, how can I expect you to not take care of me, but, like, how can I expect you to show up in a relationship if you're not showing up for yourself in these, like, minute, small ways?
Yeah, that's sick.
Are you cleaning? Yeah, are you cutting your nails? Are you doing just these random small things for yourself? Because if you can't remember to do these things for yourself and take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your business? How are you going to take care of your partner? How are you going to show up for yourself and show up for others?
That's why I love this podcast, because I knew that you have like a different perspective, right? Because like for me, it's all just like fucking get it done, get it done, get it done. But like I think a big problem that I have with all this like fucking Twitter, like manosphere and all this red pill stuff is like it's all one dimensional. It's like the man's perspective. It's like this is how it should be, and to some degree, like it's correct. But obviously, like what you said there,
men telling men how to get girls.
Exactly.
Like, mate, no.
Exactly. But what you're saying is really interesting there. It's like the small details, like how do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of like your eyebrows and shit, right?
Yeah.
Like things like that. Just a small.
If a guy has his eyebrows done, he's in a relationship.
Yeah.
His girlfriend did his eyebrows.
But it's just small things like that versus like me just randomly telling you fucking advice on the internet, okay? There's a bit more nuance to it.
Okay, last one is a hard-hitting one.
This last question.
Is your hair loss routine still the same as you said on YouTube, or has anything changed? Take off your headband. Your hair is so long now.
Yeah, it's super long now.
It's so long.
So my hair loss routine is the exact same, but if anything, it's a little bit less. So we have Regenipure, we're still pumping out, but the water in Asia is quite bad. So I'm trying to like wash my hair, not too much, but still trying to wash my hair. So I probably try to use the shampoo 3 times a week. I was doing less, but we'll try to do 3 times a week. Still doing finasteride, but I've actually upped it to 1.25 megs. And the reason why is because I buy 5 megs and I try to split it in 4. It's the only way you can get it here for some reason. And so that's 1.25 megs. And then we do biotin at 100 at 1,000 milligrams a day. And then we had derma rolling, but my derma roller broke and your mom hasn't bought me a new one yet. I put it on Elise's mom to buy me a derma roller. I don't know the reason why I did that, relinquishing my responsibility. So then we derma roll like once a week, but my derma roller is broken, so we need to get a new one for that. And fuck it, I'll just announce it now. I am experimenting or thinking of the idea of doing platelet-rich plasma. Platelet-rich
PRP.
Yeah, platelet-rich plasma therapy, which is basically taking blood from your skin, separating it out in a centrifuger, and injecting it into your head or your temple, as a way to like rejuvenate almost dead hair. So we're experimenting with that right now. we haven't actually started yet, to be honest. I'm just thinking about it. But it's going to be quite expensive. So I might record something around it, but I haven't thought about it yet. But I'm just doing a bit of research. But I have way more bigger priorities than fucking injecting red blood cells into my head right now.
Your hair is much longer now, but I feel like anyone can just grow longer hair. But yours is coming forward a lot too.
Yeah.
Like it's growing forward. It's
The
filling,
smaller
it's
hairs.
filling in a lot.
Yeah. So it takes a bit of time, right? And that's the thing. It's like how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So if I can take my time with this and just grow my hair over, was it 2 years my last video? Then we can apply that principle to like basically.
Can you stay consistent? Can you?
Yeah, can you just stay
With
consistent?
your business too, though,
Yeah.
it translates across.
It's just doing it every day and it's fucking boring. Like every night I'm like, ugh, I take this pill. I take this pill too. And I was like, gotta wash my hair. It's like I can't buy the cheap shampoo. I gotta buy the $50 shampoo. It's like, ugh, we just gotta do it, right? It's just doing it, and that's kind of a. All right, we're
Nice.
done. Your first podcast.